boogeyman.
What is up, y'all? We are back, and it feels great to be a horror fan. Today, we got a very cool and interesting video. We're going to be talking about what happened with Laurie and Michael Myers. You know, just through everything, for real. Just the key point that shows us, you know, what happened with Laurie and Michael. But before we get into it, definitely smash the like button because it definitely helps. Also, make sure you're subscribed because that also helps too. So to get into this is something I've been thinking about, you know, just with the TV series and everything, you know, being in the works and just all this stuff with Halloween just on my mind. I wanted to talk to you guys about it. So to get into it, you know, with Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, we had a Twisted Theory video we talked about with just, you know, it possibly not just being just a connection with Laurie and Michael, it just being bigger than Laurie, and it also just being Annie the main target, Laurie just in the way, which I'm starting to think that might be the thing, or it's just so many directions of plots they can go in. That's the way John Carpenter wrote it, and we're just now figuring that out, you know, years later. To get into it a little more, man, when you sit here and think about it with Halloween 2018 and everything, it explains Laurie and Michael, and it explains that it's bigger than her. The trilogy explains that everything with the story with Laurie and Michael is bigger than her. Let me tell you how. So when you see Halloween 2018, it's pretty much everyone's fault that Michael is back in Haddonfield, to be honest. Mainly, you know, Dr. Sartin. So when we get into Halloween 2018, we see the podcasters, you know, they approach Michael at Smith's Grove and everything, and they have the mask, which is crazy because, you know, in real life, that's not going to happen. That's evident. They're not going to just give a podcaster a mask, you know, to go to an asylum and taunt the serial killer with the mask that he did his murders with. You know what I'm saying? So to push forward with it, that right there was a key point that kind of woke Michael up, to be honest. When he was kind of just dormant, to be honest, he was dormant. But when he saw that mask back in, you know, his area, and he saw who had it, if you notice, that's how everything kind of kicked off, or at least that's what you think. To me, in my world, I think Dr. Sartain is the reason behind everything. He knew the podcasters was thirsty for some clout, you know, some notoriety. They're podcasters. They're going to want some audience to watch their story. That's going to help, you know, their business and stuff like that. So what I think is they took on the Michael Myers case for eyes and, you know, audience and who knows, money and stuff like that. They just wanted to get the story back kicked up. And it makes sense. They had the mask. They're doing it behind the scenes interviews and stuff like that, you know, with Michael and, you know, Dr. Sartain and everything. So when you push forward with it, they are the ones who kind of got it kicked off for real, because after they left Smith's Grove, what did they do, y'all? They went to Laurie Strode's home. And it all makes sense because they're trying to get this going back together. And at one point, I want to say his name was Aaron, the podcaster, but at one point he said to Laurie, he won't talk. Michael won't say anything. Maybe if you sit down with him. You see what I'm saying? Why would you want Laurie Strode to sit down with Michael Audrey Myers after you know their history? And it's not like if Michael sees her, he's going to back down or anything, like, because this is where I'm getting at. Yes, I don't think it's about Laurie Strode. I think Michael just takes out any and everyone who walks in his path. He takes out any and everyone who walks in his path, bro. And when you sit here and think about it, they kind of got the shit kicked off for real. Like, because look, they told Laurie, you should sit down with Michael. She said, you know, like, what the fuck? No. And she's like basically telling him, like, yeah, I could tell what type of people you are. Y'all don't believe in it. Y'all think this shit is a game. That's why Laurie Strode tells the podcasters, oh, you know, you don't believe in the boogeyman?
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
He said, I believe in Michael Myers, but boogeyman, no. You know, she's like, you should. That shows, like, y'all don't know what the fuck y'all dealing with right now. So a lot of people, when you get into it, they're thinking it's about Laurie and Michael the whole time. It's not. It was the people around Haddonfield that got Michael to return and get the story back kicked up. So you push forward with it and everything. They still have the mask. And it's crazy when you sit here and think about it. You know, the bus crashed and everything and stuff like that. You see Michael get out the car. I don't know how, like, you know, he automatically, he finds them at the gas station. He gets the mask or whatever back. He takes out the podcasters. Boom. That's puzzle piece number one. That's puzzle piece number one. So he now feels like, okay, I got my mask. He's getting everything back. Got his coveralls from the, the gas station and stuff like that. And it's all starting to come back together for him. So when you push forward with everything, also the bus crash, and we talked about this in the last video, the Annie video. People say that it's, a theory out there where Laurie is the reason the bus crashed. Let me tell you why this. I used to think like, oh, maybe that's possible, but it doesn't make sense, because think about it. It will defeat the sympathy we have for Laurie. Like, we won't care for her anymore, because it's like she's the reason, to be honest. We're all scared for her and shit, that hopefully Michael won't put hands on her and catch her, when we're thinking it's all about Laurie the whole time. We find out she makes the bus crash. We can't be feeling sorry for you. You the reason the fucking bus crashed. And Laurie's going crazy. She's sharpening knives and loading pistols and cleaning the barrels on them and stuff like that, just to make the bus crash. No, I don't think Laurie did that. Yeah, we had a scene with her, drinking alcohol and crashing out in the car. But to be honest, it was Dr. Sartin. He was the reason for everything. Dr. Sartin was the reason for everything. He was the key point to the whole story, if you ask me. It wasn't Laurie, because think about it. If Dr. Sartin would have never, got the bus to crash, or at least that's what I'm speculating, because Michael was chained up, because we're not dealing with Tyler Mane, Michael, when he's knocking shackles off his wrists and shit like that. So I'm going to say, Dr. Sartin being somehow, some way, the reason the bus crashed, he got his story. And the reason I'm saying this is because when, the bus crashed and everything, and he fucking is on a bus, and he sits up and the kid shoots him in the arm and stuff like that. We push forward, and then Dr. Sartin finally sees Laurie Strode in Haddonfield. He finally sees her, right? And he's like, oh, you're Laurie Strode. You're Laurie Strode. She said, oh, and you're the new Loomis. Bro, that part right there shows you where he was obsessed with the story. He wanted to see it, back open. He wanted to see everything revealed in front of his face, because yeah, he was the new Loomis. He was the new case holder for Michael Myers. So he wasn't there at the time to see 78 and all this crazy shit. So he wanted to see it more modern. And with that story being more open comes more, publicity and all this shit with it, a lot of eyes on it, the breaking news, and he's covering it. He thinks he knows how to control Michael, and he wants to find out if Michael says something, So we push forward, and Officer Hawkins knows there's some weird shit going on. He knows. He seriously knows, man. He's like, he's looking at him. He's, Sheriff Barker. They're like, yeah, this motherfucker's weird. So we push forward and everything, and we get to this point where Michael Myers is in a car with fucking Allison, and they're in the backseat of a police cruiser, and fucking Hawkins and Dr. Sartin are in the front, right? Allison gets in the back with Michael. They're in the fucking back looking for him, right? So Officer Hawkins basically talking about what he gonna do when he see Michael and shit like that. And Dr. Sartain's in the passenger. He's like, he must not be, my patient must not be touched. He must not be harmed. Like, man, it's fucking Michael Myers. So that shows you he's willing to go that extra mile to keep him safe. He's just like, even that time he even looks at Hawkins a crazy way. I remember seeing it in the theaters. Like, he looks at him out the passenger seat like, yeah, okay, try it. So he hits Michael with the car. Hawkins, he gets out. He's like, I'm still gonna blow this. Y'all don't arrest. And Dr. Sartin ends up getting a pen and taking him out. He was going to that farthest extent to keep Michael alive, to reunite with Laurie Strode, to the point this motherfucker tried to take out Officer Hawkins. He put the mask on, put him in the back seat with fucking Allison, and drove them where? To Laurie Strode's house. This is the key point, y'all. If Dr. Sartin would have never drove Michael Myers to Laurie Strode's house, to her fucking front lawn, they would have probably never bumped into each other. I mean, it's a possibility they could have, eventually. Maybe he returns and she's in the, the area and stuff. But that night, they would have not bumped into each other, showing that Michael is taking care of his own fucking business. He's in his own direction. He's in his own route. It's to the point, Dr. Sartin is the reason of everything. He was so obsessed with Michael saying something. Say something. Say something. Michael stumping him out and everything. And then he hears Allison. This is the girl that he's seen when he took out Oscar. Michael Myers is not stupid. That's why when he's about to take out Dr. Sartin, Allison's like screaming and shit. She runs into the woods. She leaves the police cruiser. You see Michael kind of look like up to kind of see the direction she's going. He kind of looks and he sees like the direction she's going. And that tells him like, okay, I'm gonna follow her. And that's how he ends up, getting into the house. Also, that's a reason how he could get to the house of Laurie Strode. Or Officer Francis and his partner are talking about, a banh mi sandwich and shit like that. I'm pretty sure when he took them out, the police radio was probably on or something, and he's hearing them talk on the radio because they were supposed to be there protecting Laurie Strode and Karen and Ray. He supposed to be protecting them. Pretty sure Michael's not silly, so once he got there, he's like, oh, this is Laurie's house. This is her. I'm about to, you know what I'm saying? It all made sense. So it was like a domino effect for real when it came to Michael and Laurie. And then to push forward, Halloween Kills and everything got one of the craziest moments in the franchise when Hawkins is telling her, it was never about you, Laurie. When he tells her that and he breaks it kind of down a little bit, it makes her just sink because failed marriages, problems with your children, you going through issues, you changing your life, you prepping for this very moment for 40 years, thinking he cares about you for some type of revenge or something. Whole time, he doesn't care. Michael feels the same, about anyone in his way. Only thing I will say is when you sit here and think about it, Michael's the type, say, okay, what happened with Allison, right? Remember how they threw the dynamite or whatever in the basement? He's looking right at Allison. He's looking at Karen. He's looking at Laurie. You think he don't remember their face? They try to burn him, bro. They try to burn him alive. So in Kills, when Cameron, I always say this is my theory. When Cameron's head is sticking out that banister, and she's like, no. He looks at her, Cameron. He's like, oh, that's the vibe I get. Michael's like, oh, this is your boyfriend? Then you just have me like locked in the basement? You just try to take me out? Cool. Takes him out right there. He snaps it right there. You know what I'm saying? And she's screaming. He takes her boyfriend out right in front of her, almost like it's payback. That's why I think Michael does believe in like a revenge. Like it's not like he's just numb. Because remember, Karen takes the mask. She gets it immediately once he gets free. Like he goes to the Myers house, catches her in the window. Boop, boop, boop. I think, to be honest, bro, Michael does believe in revenge. Because it's little things they put in the trilogy to show us. Even, in ends. Like when he snatches her head back, Laurie's head back, and he looks at her over the sink. He's looking at her like, damn, you still keep like, you know what I'm saying? You still keep going. You still keep pushing, lady. That's how the vibe I got when he snatches her head and he looks at her and ends. Pay attention to that moment when he looks at her and ends. It's like Michael, it's almost like he's getting irritated, bro. Like for real. Cause look, even when Michael was in the cave, bro, do y'all think, comment down below, maybe I'm gonna do a video on this too, Halloween ends. Do y'all think Michael would have ever came out that fucking cave in Haddonfield if Corey would have never went down there? Like, I understand they say he was taking people out for years on a time jump, but like I'm talking literally like in Haddonfield walking and shit, like maybe bumping into Laurie eventually. It's like that much he's active. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing I'm kind of curious on, like, because it's almost like people always go invade where he's at. Corey ends up going in there running and shit. He ends up choking him out, like, and stuff like that. Then the mask, and Corey ends up bringing him out of Haddonfield, taking out Michelle Dawson, and then it all makes sense. Why did Michael officially leave the cave on his own? Why did Michael officially leave the cave on his own? Let me tell you why. The fucking mask was missing. The same reason he let Allison breathe in Halloween Kills when she has a messed up knee or leg. He could have just... Michael's stumping out air. He stumped out fucking Dr. Sartin and like this. No pressure. You know what I'm saying? So why couldn't he do that to Allison? It was because Karen had his mask. So the world stopped for Michael. That's like his blanket, bro. That's like his blanket. That's his sacred item. He goes and he gets the mask, and then he worries about the other shit later. To the point he was so pulled in deep in that moment in Kills, he didn't give a fuck if he was surrounded by a football team. He looks at the mask, he puts it on in front of everybody, and then it's time for war. Like, it all makes sense, bro. Just think about it. It was never about Laurie, bro. I think Laurie was just inserted, at least in the trilogy, you know, in 78. I think that she was inserted into everything. Like, even with, it all makes sense. Like we said, with the 78 theory with Annie. Whole time we're thinking it's about Laurie. I heard people say this also. Michael probably, you know, came after Laurie because she came on his property to his house. She was curious about his house. So it's almost like, why was you so curious about my house? Almost like thinking she was an investigator or some shit. I don't know. But I saw that theory. That's a theory out there that people are saying that they think that that's how it all started when she came up on the porch with Tommy Doyle and he saw her and stuff, which I brought that up a few times, but I don't think that it's, you know, that I don't know, man. I think for real, when Annie said, "Hey, jerk, speed kills."
Hey, jerk, speed kills.
At that moment, it got everybody involved, and it led to 40 years later. That's the fucking mind-boggling twist. Because remember, Laurie said that in 78. You know, Annie, one day you're gonna get us in all big trouble one day. She did eventually do that. All because she spoke to the boogeyman. That's what I'm starting to believe, bro. And it all led all the way to 40 years later. Could you think about that, y'all? This is, look, and we're about to end off. And let me know if y'all want more videos like this. This video is just the truth. It is just the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it like this. At that moment by the hedge, hey, jerk, speed kills. Let this, I'm gonna end y'all off with this. Do y'all think at that moment when she said at the Michael could have been the whole problem that led up to Halloween Ends? Just one thing said to one man, not knowing who you're talking to. That one problem in 78 led up to 40 years later and ruined Laurie Strode's life. Just one friend. Think about that. Unfortunately, guys, this is the end of the video. Comment down below what you all think about this theory, and do you want more, you know, deep theories like this, deep dives and stuff like this on the channel? Comment down below. And what do you think about this whole situation? Unfortunately, this is the end of the video. I want you guys to hit me up on my social medias at ILIKESCARY on Instagram, ILIKESCARY_ on TikTok, Brandon on Facebook, ILIKESCARY on Twitter, and yeah, you all right there where it says subscribe. Next to it, click join and become a member of the channel. I want you all to watch some horror movies. Stay scary out there. Peace. Until next time, y'all.